The first mistake the Galactic Academy made was assuming they understood humans. The second mistake was putting Classroom Companion Exchange Day on the schedule and inviting a human student to participate. Professor Zelther adjusted his frilled neck plates as the amphitheater-sized classroom filled with students from across the known spiral. The air hummed with overlapping pheromones, low-frequency clicks, and the faint shimmer of personal gravity fields. This was the Academy's most popular elective, sociocultural bonding through companion species. In simple terms, show and tell with pets. Zelther tapped his console, projecting the list of participants. Dozens of species had already presented over the past cycles. The KRN brought bioluminescent floatfish that glowed in soothing patterns. The Valaxi introduced hive mites bred to harmonize brainwaves. Even the notoriously aggressive Threx had surprised everyone with a soft, furred burrow lizard that squeaked when held. Safe, predictable, educational. The professor's gaze lingered on the final name. Carter James, species, human, origin, soul 3 Earth. Zelther's mandibles clicked uneasily. Humans were new. Barely a century into interstellar politics. Their physiology alone baffled half the medical faculty. Redundant organs, extreme pain tolerance, adrenaline responses that bordered on self-destruction. Still, the Academy's xenopsychologists insisted humans were emotionally driven pack bonders, with an unusual fondness for animals. Cute, the briefing had said. The doors slid open. Carter James stepped inside. He was tall for the room, shoulders squared, wearing the standard Academy uniform, but it looked tight on him, stretched over muscle instead of chitin or gel. His face was calm, almost relaxed. Behind him, the floor groaned. Something massive followed. The chatter died instantly. Claws, each the length of a Valaxi forearm, scraped against the polished alloy floor. A low, resonant growl rolled through the chamber, vibrating seats and rattling sensory filaments. The lights dimmed as something tall enough to brush the upper fixtures ducked through the doorway. It was alive, black-scaled, four-legged. Its body was a seamless blend of corded muscle and armored hide, etched with pale scars that glowed faintly blue. A long tail, tipped with bone spurs, swept lazily behind it. Its head was angular, predatory, with forward-facing eyes that locked onto movement with terrifying precision. Apex. Undeniably apex. Several students shrieked in ultrasonic terror. Defense drones deployed automatically from the ceiling, red targeting lights dancing across the beast's body. Carter raised one hand. Easy, he said softly. The creature stopped. Saturday. Its massive claws folded neatly beneath it. The targeting lights vanished. Professor Zelther's vocal sacs fluttered wildly. Student Carter, he stammered, this is a classroom companion exercise. You were instructed to bring a non-hostile, domesticated organism. Carter nodded. Yes, sir. The creature yawned. Rows of teeth unfolded, layered, serrated, designed for crushing bone and armor alike. A few students fainted outright. This, Carter continued, patting the beast's scaled flank, is Ember. Ember leaned into the touch, eyes half-lidding. She's my class pet. Silence swallowed the room. Finally, a trembling KRN student raised a tentacle. That is a Dracrix Prime. Those things wiped out 3 frontier colonies before the Alliance glassed their nesting moon. Carter shrugged. Yeah, she's a runt. The professor's translator stuttered, recalibrating for disbelief. You keep an apex war species as a pet? Companion, Carter corrected gently. There's a difference. Zelther struggled to regain control of the session. Student Carter, how is this creature restrained? Carter frowned. Restrained? Ember cocked her head, sensing his confusion. Oh, he realized. She's not restrained. The professor nearly molted on the spot. And yet, Carter added, she's never hurt anyone who didn't deserve it. That did not help. To the Academy's credit, they didn't eject Carter immediately. Instead, they did what the galaxy always did when faced with humans. They studied. Over the next cycles, Ember became a fixture of the campus. She followed Carter everywhere, ducking through corridors never designed for something her size. Maintenance crews reinforced floors. Windows were replaced with impact-rated transparent steel. The insurance algorithms went feral. And yet, nothing happened. Ember ignored smaller species entirely. She curled up beside Carter during lectures, emitting a low heat that students gradually realized was comforting. When Carter studied late, Ember lay protectively at his back, tail coiled like a living barricade. Predatory instincts, yes, but focused, controlled. Xenobiologists ran scans from a distance. Dracarys primes were supposed to be hyper-aggressive, territorial, impossible to domesticate. Their neural maps showed dominance hierarchies enforced through lethal violence. Ember broke every model. When asked how he'd managed it, Carter answered simply, "She imprinted on me." That explanation only raised more questions. The real test came during mid-cycle evaluations. A group of Threx supremacists, angered by humanity's rapid rise, decided to make a statement. They bypassed security using stolen credentials and released a combat organism into the student residential wing. It was engineered for slaughter. Students ran. Alarms screamed. Defense drones failed. The creature's hide was adaptive, shrugging off energy fire. Carter was in the commons when the first body hit the wall. He didn't hesitate. Ember. The single word cut through the chaos. Ember rose. The temperature spiked as her dorsal plates ignited, blue fire tracing along her scars. Her growl shook the structure, a sound older than civilization. The combat organism turned. And hesitated. That hesitation was fatal. Ember moved with terrifying grace. No wasted motion, no frenzy. She struck with precision, pinning, disabling, ending the threat in seconds. When it was over, she stood over the corpse, chest heaving, waiting. Waiting for Carter. He approached, placed a hand on her snout. "Good girl," he murmured. Ember exhaled slowly, fire dimming. The campus watched. Every camera. Every species. What they saw wasn't a monster unleashed. It was trust. The inquiry that followed shook the academy to its core. Committees demanded Ember be removed. Militaries made offers. Scientists begged for access. Carter refused them all. "She's not a weapon," he said before the assembly. "She's family." Professor Zelther, older now, wiser, found himself speaking in Carter's defense. "Humans," the professor admitted, "do not dominate apex predators. They befriend them. They share space, food, warmth. They create bonds stronger than instinct." The vote was unanimous. Ember stayed. By graduation, the phrase "cute class pet" had become an inside joke across the academy. New students whispered legends of the human who brought a living extinction event to show and tell. But the lesson endured. Humanity did not rise because of superior weapons or technology. They rose because they could walk beside the galaxy's deadliest beings and make them sit, stay, and trust. On his final day, Carter stood at the hangar, Amber's massive form curled beside him as stars stretched into motion. Professor Zelther offered a farewell gesture. "Student Carter," he said, voice warm, "the Academy thanks you. You have expanded our understanding." Carter smiled. "Happy to help." Ember rumbled softly, resting her head against him. Somewhere in the galaxy, civilizations would remember that day. The day they learned that when humans say pet, they don't mean harmless. They mean loyal. And that is far more dangerous.